If, I have another question here. If I get a claim notice for my carnet, what do I need to do next to resolve it? What are my next steps? Who do I call?
So you've received a claims notice from the U.S. Council for International Business, who's been informed by Foreign Customs that, oops, there's no proof your goods ever exited the country. One, look at your carnet. Hopefully you've returned it to your carnet provider for review and assessment. Make sure that it has either the exportation counterfoil in it or the importation counterfoil. So if you go through the steps, you get a claims notice. Number one, check your carnet. Where is it? What proof do you have in it? Did it stamp out of the foreign country properly? It could have stamped out of, could have come in through the UK and stamped out of Germany. What's going to change in Brexit? It could have gone in through France and stamped out of Germany. While that is technically a claim, it's not, because the German export counterfoil will resolve the claim entirely. And so look in your carnet. Two, if you don't have exportation out of the foreign country, do you have your importation back into the United States? Then use that as proof. If you don't have that, get a certificate of disposition immediately. And actually, my recommendation is always to look at your carnet when it's returned back, or if you're using Scarborough, for example, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna make sure that everything's done properly. And if it's not done properly, they're gonna come up with a fix that can be done immediately. The thing with carnets is as soon as there's an error, time is of the essence, because any proof prior to expiration date will suffice. Any proof post-expiration date will depend on the country, if they're willing to accept it or not as sufficient proof. Some will waive entirely and just do a slap on the wrist penalty. Others will charge full duties and taxes and penalties, irrespective of the fact that your goods here in the US, but the proof was presented post-expiration date. Then if you don't have any of that, look at your shipping documents. Ideally, you have the carnet number on all supporting documentation. That is one of my best recommendations. And actually, I take it back. I have a better recommendation. So and I'll start by telling you a horrible story. I have a lot of stories, as Adam likes to tease me. So famous TV show, you're gonna know who I'm talking about as I get through the story. They rent their gear in a rental house in LA. They fly over to Germany. They enter into Germany on the carnet, and everything's great. They race across Europe, filming. Everything's fantastic. They export out of Charles de Gaulle. Carnet's validated. Wonderful. They enter back into JFK. JFK stamps the carnet back in. This is great. And it was a hand carry. This is all great. These guys are golden. They jump in the rental car. For some unknown reason, they decided to stop at some shop, restaurant place near JFK airport. And when they came back out, their car had been robbed. The gear was all in the trunk, but somebody had stolen all the backpacks. All the carnets were in the backpacks. They decided, well, they're good. They know they did everything properly. Everything's golden. They've been doing carnets since the creation of the TV show. They return all the gear to the rental house and don't think twice about it. Well, they get a lovely letter from the U.S. Consul saying German customs has no proof of re-exportation out of Germany and that they owe $120,000 worth of duties, taxes, and penalties. They say, no, we swear goods are back in the U.S. Okay, where's the proof? Well, the carnets were stolen. Okay, well, did you take photocopies? Did you take photographs? Like what did you have anything? Nothing. The rental gear had already been returned to the rental house and other producers had taken the gear. So we couldn't even collect the gear together to get a 3227 done to prove the goods were exported. They ended up, despite the amount of lawyers involved, they ended up having to pay the claim. And since that incident, my number one recommendation is smartphone photos. Every time that carnet touches customs, make it part of your business procedure. Have somebody photograph it on a smartphone, because that would have been sufficient for us to resolve the claim. Or photocopies. Every time it gets back to an office, photocopy it. Keep the path going. Because while it is still a paper document, those are some of the hiccups. If it's lost, we don't have proof. So that's my number one recommendation. Take photographs at any customs checkpoint. But again, back to resolving the claim, you've got to be able to provide proof of the goods back in the United States. If you don't know what to do, call your carnet provider. We're all more than happy to walk you through the process and figure out what needs to be done to resolve that claim.